I really need to work on that fade out thing. I hate just cutting out the music like that. Speaking of, let's put the other music on. Eeny, meeny, miny, mo. Which of the two soundtracks I go with will it be? Let's go for the slightly more sedate one. Hello, Elle, Lady, and Ginger. I know Ginger's happy with this stream. If I do nothing else in life, I have to do Possling law just for Ginger. Otherwise, he will hunt me down. I'm not sure what I was planning on doing, Postling wise. Also, I hate that my bitrate is showing us red. Nothing is different, computer. Why are you showing us red? You're concerning me. Me when Sheepa says he ate the last packet of crisps. Me when I just can just eat Sheepa. I think, if anything, today I wanted to kind of like get down a basic idea of what the actual shapes are going to be for these guys. I mean, currently the only like real Possling that was created was this guy, who was basically just based on this guy's face in the bottom corner. And I kind of need, actual images of these things if we're going to ever use them. So, I mean, there's drawing on my zero training in character design, but I have watched YouTube videos. There's a few, like, shape, languagey things that people seem to use. There's long and like long and thin, short and squat, triangle and triangle, depending on what you're looking for. Usually, this is like seen as more like a top-heavy, muscular build. The other triangle is more of like a bottom-heavy sort of one. So you'd have like head, big bulky body, tiny legs, head, big body, tiny legs. This one is more just a whole body, and then you've got like a usually like the some kind of like weird thing like this. This one definitely not a postling. Way too tall, way too skinny. That's not what they are. They're not going to be overly muscular because they're not one of the build. They're not one of the strength based species on the planet. They're one of the resourceful ones. Just being round is a bit boring. So they probably are going to be more like bottom heavy. Sort of this like this end one. I mean, they're going to be about 4 foot high, so I think I think that this is me having a good old stab in the dark. Cue someone going, British. Let's give ourselves a little bit of a reference. Of how tall that's going to actually be. It depends what they're going to war for. Most of the time, they probably don't want to go to war at all. But they will go to war for resources. If you attempt to take something from them, they're probably going to be not happy about it. And the worst thing is, because they're not strong and they're not very smart, at least in terms of like the three main builds, they're going to probably be more like guerrilla warfare specialists. They're going to be like sneaking around and like laying down traps to catch you unaware. It's honestly probably why everyone leaves them alone, because they're like, we've seen these people, we've seen these guys in action. It was terrifying. They caged that. One of them managed to cage a baby longlegs and put it in the way of our army. So we don't know how they did it, but somehow they managed. And you just got this like little Possling druid over in the corner going, "Yes, I know, I studied their ways." Still like the idea of them having sort of like a more Hey Arnold of a face, rather than like just a very simple like circle. Probably going to have the waist about sort of midway down. I mean, maybe putting them a little bit more bottom heavy might work better. Maybe something a bit more sort of classic snowman, yeah. And then the sort of stubby legs. Oh my god, is this going to be the fucking short stack species in our game? That we're going to get all the like the weirdos looking at. Let's embiggen slightly. I mean, this is mainly because out of all of the, I think we're going with 12 was the sort of aim we're going to go for when we can get it all done. These are probably going to be like one of the most well fed out of all of them. Because we had the build ones. Hang on, let me zoom in so I can actually find this easier to write. We had the build, the brain, and the resourceful. And then within each of them, there was going to be 4. Because there was going to be like an overall, and then a focus on each of the 3 stats. You forget, Ginger, that the sentient broccoli men, they don't understand the reason why it works best to raise your children on the graves of your ancestors. They haven't figured out yet that they've basically made a compost area of their dead to raise their children. They're also about a foot tall and live isolated on an island on their own. So that they're going to turn up to the rest of the world and find everyone's 4 foot tall and be terrified of the giants. It's like walking out of it's like going, oh, I live on an island. I'm going to go and visit the mainland. So you start in Hawaii, you go to the mainland America, and then suddenly everyone's 24 foot tall. That's how the broccoli men are going to basically end up living their life. It's like, yes, we've finally made a boat. We're going to go and sail to that strange land over there. That's probably only about a mile away, but to them seemed ridiculous. And then they have to try and like tell people and explain to them, oh yes, we're normally nomadic, but we always return to the same place to bury our dead and raise our young. Because it's tradition. Our children always grow up best around the spirits of the ancient ones. Meanwhile, Grandad's rotting in the ground underneath, going, "You bastards!" Hey, Frop. You know what I need to do? I need to make sure I turn off Huh, because I don't think Huh is working. I also need to work out why Pixel Chat isn't working. That's why there's no captions today. Pixel Chat just doesn't want to work for some reason. I have gone to the place. Watch it work now. Just watch it work now. Will it? Will it? Nope. It's just completely blank screen. See, I've tried Pixel Chat. It simply just does not work. It loads to a blank page. Apparently, the service is up and running according to their own server, according to their own analytics page. So I don't know what's going on. It may just be a browser update or something that's caused some problems that I need to like see if I need to update Chrome for it. Don't think I do. It's not telling me I'm missing an update, but who knows? That's for Frop. Seed! Now the hard part, how the hell is this head going to work? I feel like they're not going to actually have that much of a neck. Oh, near soundtrack soon. We will meet again. But like in the actual game. Well, it's not even that they're hunchbacks, it's just that they're very short head. Because I mean, when you look at like they're based on, they don't really have so much of a neck. They just kind of like just have a body with a tube and a cone is essentially what they are. So I mean, obviously, when we get around to adding detail, we're going to probably have like this. This is going to let's make sure I've actually not got a selection, so I can actually draw wherever. It's probably more going to be like sort of going out or like coming down. Honestly, I think they probably actually have like quite low down shoulders. So maybe we can go a bit further down on the head. Problem is, I don't want to mess with the proportions too much. Let's just bring them into interview so that Brock can just enjoy. Hasn't even got out of the ground yet. That's how young boy is. The question is, what kind of if they're resourceful, these are ones that are going to be more based on senses. That's what the third category of stat was. No, no, Ginger Pac-Man is like a tall, lanky green thing, but then you find out no, it's actually a robot that eats your spine. For the reference that's coming from, go watch the new thing that's on Amazon about all the game things, because some of them are really fucking good, and some of them are fucking terrible. So, I mean, our Postlings have very like rounded ears. But the problem is, if we go too round, it's going to look a bit too much rat-like. And we don't really want them looking like rat. That's not what they are. They're Postlings. So they're probably, for the most part, pointing sort of like front to the side. Because they're probably going to be more. I think senses we were working on them being more like the hunters. So they're more like understanding of the area they're in. That's where they're resourceful because they can figure out what's going on and use that to their advantage. So stealth, sneakiness, just in general, hunting, trap laying. Granted, I think they're mostly fisher people. Yeah, they're mostly fishers. As far as I remember, the plan for them, with like a modicum of sort of farming in their sort of little communities. But they are not averse to laying traps to get tasty animals. So get rid of some of this scrawl. This is the point where someone comes in and goes, "Hey, what sort of body shape do you tend to draw the most?" I'm like, I couldn't possibly tell you. Says a person that totally doesn't have an image that's just me practicing short stacks. It is surprisingly easy to just go whoop, whoop, and then just add some lines in and go, "Hey, look, he's thick." Sorry, Ginger, that might have been a bit too much for you. I feel like these guys are probably also going to have quite thick arms. At least at adult stage. Bearing in mind they're like 4 foot tall, so they're quite chunky. It's okay. Earlier on, I was watching a speedrun guide to Dredge. Oh, I drew some lines that indicated naked female. You know what? I don't want these big ears. Don't want them like this. I like the idea of them being the small ones from the original. I like the idea of them just being like little tiny things. Sort of off to the back and side. Like this guy. But no, I simply did a few lines. We said like, let's say we got that there, then we do some like little bits here, and then we go whoop whoop, and then boom, thick in 8 lines or less. Yeah, that's a decent light. Granted, it's like the head's off center and a few other things, but let's fix that now. Now that I've noticed that I'm completely wonky. Uh uh uh. Possling went sassy mode for a moment. So centre that up. Because I did have another. I can get rid of you because I moved you to another. I moved you to this sheet, so that I keep all the Possling in one area. I had like other ideas I wanted to do, sort of like based on the past couple of past like 3 streams I think where we've worked on. Damn it, the name of them is on the other browser that I have closed right now. I think it was Tuohaza? I think. Look at the last streams look at the VODs I've put up on YouTube. I did include their name from Blue Sky, so people can go and look at them because their work is fucking gorgeous. It's so like calm and just painter. It's like a watercolor like aesthetic. Recently found out it looks like Joshi is also subscribed to them, so I can at least say I must kind of be good at art because I'm following the same person that Joshi, the actual artist, who's trained at it, follows. So at least kind of feel good about myself having good taste. Unless Joshi is following them because Joshi sits in a corner laughing at their terrible, terrible art. I wouldn't put it past the little wooden boy. Right, I know what I am gonna do. Find out what those layers are on and move those up. Remove this one because this was not as interesting an idea. It's like more of a general landscape that would have been nice. But I feel if I'm going to attempt to do art like this, I should like try and make it about the thing, like about the lives of the things that are around it. Like this one's obviously going to be a small mill. Maybe it's not at the start of the world. Maybe it's like 100 years progressed. I don't know on what the timelines are going to be, but then if anyone's going to figure out how to mill bread, it's going to be these guys. They might not use wheat. They might use a different seed. Chances are they will because wheat probably wouldn't exist. Brand new whole planet and all. But it's just like little Possling looking at the reflection in the water next to the water wheel. And then the other one, this one down in the corner, those hands aren't the hands of the Possling. I wanted to do one of those sort of, bearing in mind, it's going to look bad when I do it. That's why I'm not going to do it on stream. I'm going to be hiding it. It's going to be one for me to try only, unless it turns out good, and then I'll show it off. But I did want one of those ones where it's kind of like, let me soft round brush. So it's like, oh god, that's not that's. So you'd have the sort of the reflection of the water. You'd have like Possling sort of reflection as like the main reflection. And then it'd be like those like just a slightly visible reflection just underneath it. That's not a reflection, it's actually something in the water. Because like I say, this world is not a nice world. Things are going to be out to get you. So there could just be something in the water ready to grasp at you if you try and look over. And considering things in the real world are fairly smart, like crocodiles will pay attention to where people go down to the water and then will sit and wait. They can recognize patterns. So Maybe there's something in this world that does the same. It just lives in the rivers. It's just happened to notice that there's always at least one or two things, around this wheel, and so it just sits and wait. Well, lies underwater and waits until something's looking over the side, and if it looks catchable, it just slowly rises up and then grabs you and takes you under the water. So I imagine if that's the case, Possling children disappear at young ages quite a lot. Because I do have a vague recollection that we were going to have it so that children weren't named early on, that they were essentially going to be born, put into the communal creche, where there'd be a few caretakers that just looked after all of the children, and if they survived long enough, then you get your name, because they don't want to just keep naming children if the children are going to die. I really don't like that it's showing me as an unstable. Let me just refresh Twitch, because this might just be the browser being funny. No, it's still saying it's unstable. I don't know why. Average stream bitrate too high. I've not changed anything in my settings at all. So what are you talking about, Twitch? What are you talking about at all? Oh well. I guess I will live with the big red mark saying unstable next to live. I mean, it could be internet connectivity. I know that early on in the morning, like we're talking like 12:30, 1 o'clock in the morning today, the internet did cut out a couple of times. I don't know why. Um, but it's been fine for most of the day. Not had any issues. So it could be more computer resources than anything. I mean, maybe I've had some things running too much and I need to just give the whole computer a restart. But I am going to. Let's see if we can. But you, and you. And you. Let's copy all of you into. That's not what I wanted at all. So delete those layers. Preemptively change you to something less jarring. Okay, that was the one I wanted. So now let's take a second layer. Let's copy that, paste it, get you a decent size. And then we are going to actually have a little bit of fun. Actually, you know what? Let's do this underneath. Let's... That's what I'm after. It's more like a leg than an arm. Oof. Hey, I never said I was good at anatomy. It's on my to-do list of getting good at stuff. Which I probably should like just give them chunkier hands. There we go. That's a bit better. Oh yeah, it's fingerless gloves. It's this guy on the side. It's him here. And you know they're rocking the Cuban heel. Oh, I feel like that face needs to move up. That's the wrong layer. Oh no, you're going to go and destroy Ezzy. Is that what bread time is? How to make some... If you ever want to draw horror, here's the easiest tip. Small mouth, inviting, happy, cute. Big mouth, unnerving. So you know for what these guys are having a unnervingly large mouth. Imagine if I had better line work. Because it's never going to happen. But let's just make sure we've got that. Let's give a little bit of colour to the lad before we end. So, god damn the Nier soundtrack. So I find out it's not showing up on the Nier soundtrack isn't really that loud on stream, and I'm enjoying the wonderful music, and you're all just listening to my voice and having to put up with it. Unfortunately, Nier has a lot of quiet songs, and then also has some really loud ones. I mean, if when Wretched Automaton turns up, it's like clunky and loud metal noises, and you don't want that to be too loud. Trust me, I woke up to that once when I just left the playlist running. See, what I need to do with the color schemes of these guys as well is use the same guide that I used when I did Glean. Because I do have a reference image of a bunch of natural colours that you can get from plant dye. Which is why, anyone who watches the D&D campaign on Sheepa's YouTube channel will notice that Glean has very muted colours. Now that's Nier Automata, Astra. Different soundtrack. This is the original Nier. Which actually does make me realise that even in the first Nier there were automatons. So they did exist at one point, so they weren't necessarily all made by the aliens. Spoilers for the game that's, I think, at this point 7 years old, 8 years old. There are aliens involved in Nier Automata. They're all dead, of course. So's all of humanity. But we learned that in the first Nier, so it's not actually a fucking surprise. And that's spoilers for a game that's 14 years old. Because I think the first Nier came out in 2010. Or was it 2013? Either way, it's over 10 years old. You don't get any, like, hiding from the spoilers anymore. I don't like the shape of that head. I do not like that. Now that it's got the thing in there, I much prefer this lad with his just very much just this is my face. They just sprouts directly out of the neck. Spoilers for Pong. One side wins. The other side dies in a horrific girder accident. See, what actually happens in Pong is there is such a fierce battle. Eventually, one of them does die. The problem is there's a weird mix up in the funerary arrangements, and they end up getting like moved over to like a mass grave, where there's a bunch of other weird shapes, and unfortunately they get like put into a position where they're in line with a bunch of others, and then all the bodies just disappear for some reason. I'm waiting for Ginger to shout at me for that really bad fucking Tetris reference. Yeah, I don't like the shape of the head. I really don't. I'm glad I put that like a bit of colour on there because I really feel that they would just look so much nicer. Let me find out where the so rather than having that there, let's cut you out. Shrink them down. Yeah, on the one hand, I love that Clip Studio has such a frequent autosave. But other times, usually when I'm streaming, I get really annoyed because it always like in the middle of something, it's just like, hang on, we're autosaving the fact you've drawn 4 lines. I'm gonna make sure to mention Ginger whenever he zones out for no real reason. I can turn the autosave off, but the problem with that is if my computer crashes or anything like that, or the program crashes, I've lost all the work that I've been doing. So it's one of those horrible, like, damned if you do, damned if you don't deals. That's more friend shaped. That's more friend-shaped. Still not quite as good as this guy. I feel like to make that one, to make that work better, I'm going to need to, let's just go, whoop, zip. Massively increase the size of his scarf. With wool taken from the Megala Ovis, which was the first ever creature I created for this world, back when it was a D&D world for Ginger and Sheepa, and they wanted some random animals for it. So I created the Megala Ovis, was just a giant fucking mammoth-sized sheep that they used for wool. Yeah, still not quite right, mainly because the angle's different. And really what I should do is, like, if I do it properly, redo the scarf so it actually fits around the neck properly. Because really what we're going to be going for more is, like, the Diglett. And then the ears off the side like that. I think that'd probably be a better way of doing it. At least a future attempt at this. Nope. Let's... So I need to double check as well to see whether or not Clip Studio is actually on my SSD. That'd be a really good idea, to be honest. As far as I know it is. But I might be wrong. Also, hello, sheepy. Not bad for an hour's messing around. And guess what? I actually used the theory. Not well, but it was an attempt. It was an attempt. And it's okay. Like, I mean, considering the thing I first drew that got deleted before this stream, it was the last thing I drew on this sheet on here. There was the first attempt at doing a Possling, and it looked hideous. I opened it up and I'm like, oh my god, what the hell is that? Delete. I cannot abide that to exist. which is why we now have like an actual more like Possling type body. It was the one that I did was a lot more like tall and thin than short and stubby, and it just didn't look right. The proportions were wrong. So I mean, for now, that it's decent. Is it perfect? Not even close. But you know, considering I'm not normally a character designer, I don't normally do these things. I'm much better at just drawing an animal. It didn't turn out too bad. Hang on, let me snooze this ad that's coming up. It won't let me snooze it. It won't let me snooze it. It's too late to snooze. Because I was planning on going after an hour. No one on ready to raid, so we will simply end. So thank you everyone for watching. Hopefully, over the next few weeks, I do want to like go back to Nier Automata and try and finish it up before the end of the year. Mainly because I've been listening to the music too much the past few days, and I'm like, I have to go back to the game, even if it's going to kill me. I hate that the ad just started when I'm trying to close off. But yeah, that'll be the end for the day. So, thank you all for watching, and I'll see you next time. Hopefully I've got the PlayStation back up and running and connected, so we'll see. Oh, bye-bye.